Hello and welcome to ThePrint. I am Aamaan, and in a great speeches series today, we look at an address delivered by C. Rajagopalachari at the Malabar District Political Conference in Palghat on 23rd May 1953. This speech came at a time when independent India was still shaping its political landscape, and when debates around ideology, economic policy, and public order were becoming increasingly central to governance. So, why revisit this speech now? As India marks 100 years of Communist Party's formation in 1925, Rajaji's 1953 reflections on political choices, public responsibility, and the direction of young republic offer useful historical perspective. Rajaji began by recalling his early association with Malabar during the non-cooperation movement. He spoke about the depth of those memories and the people he worked with at the time. He then described how Malabar's political mood in the 1920s differed sharply from what he saw in the 1950s, noting the region's role in the early push for Swaraj and the divisions that existed then. He said, Malabar's political atmosphere was then very different. It was the brightest spot in South India as far as enthusiasm for Swaraj went. There were then only two camps, one for the spirit of adventure to achieve freedom, the other a conservative camp that nervously held on to safety and therefore to Britain. End quote. But according to him, independence had changed the nature of political engagement. He argued that while India had achieved its immediate political objective, its social and moral goals remained unfinished. He said, on the one hand, all sorts of slogans are hurriedly composed and shouted without much understanding. On the other, people are after making as much money as possible. A limited view of life has resulted in great greed and moral values have deteriorated. End quote. He then turned to the rise of communism in Malabar, arguing that this appeal was not based on a sustained ideological commitment. He said, I am glad the temporary attraction that in recent times communism seemed to exercise on the youth of Malabar has proved to be only an attraction of adventure and not of reasoned choice. The disillusionment has come. Communism has lost its glamour all over India wherever it had found some footing. End quote. He then tried to explain why the ideology had found temporary appeal among young people in Malabar. He said, in Malabar, there are conditions that favor a free and adventurous spirit among young men. The family and the property system prevailing among the intelligent and significant sections of the population leave young men comparatively free for adventure. The social order here tends to release a great quantum of youthful energy. End quote. He criticized the manner in which the Communist Party operated through various front organizations, even at a time when it was legally permitted to function openly and contest elections. He said, one can understand communism hiding itself in the old days behind non-political names and institutions when repressive laws were being operated against it. It had justifications then to go underground and to wear masks. But now, when there is no ban, eminent communists can sit in parliament and state legislatures and shout their doctrines and programs and publicly organize their work. Why do they still delight in peace movements, student federations, progressive writers, associations, cultural congresses, and such other numerous masks? That must lead to the conclusion that there is something wrong in their ideology. Otherwise, why are they shy of daylight? End quote. Rajaji also assessed the party's internal situation after its participation in open parliamentary work, suggesting that its electoral engagement had created new tensions and contradictions. He said, the Communist Party in India is not very happy now. They feel they were better off underground. Parliamentary activities have resulted in jealousy, ambition. They are desperately looking out again for something that may confuse the issue. End quote. He warned that any return to underground activity or violence would invite firm response from the government. He said, if communists give up parliamentary work, they will be doing a foolish thing. If they go underground or do acts of economic or other sabotage, they will have to be dealt with severely and it will be done. If they are wise, they will stick to parliamentary and open work. That is the straightforward way when the law allows it. End quote. To illustrate his argument, Rajaji referred to developments in parts of Europe under communist influence, citing examples of food shortages, rationing, and economic hardship. He said, in Hungary, which exported food to other countries, now there is hunger and ration cards. Same in Bohemia, that is Czechoslovakia, engaged in heavy industry only for the sake of Russia. Its food supply is under ration. End quote. Shifting to labor issues, he said that disruptive agitation harmed both workers and the wider economy. and that prosperity depended on stable and continuous production. He said, the opponents of the Congress have tried to seize upon trouble spots. They try to beguile workmen into strikes, but workers have begun to understand. No section of the community, least of all poor workers, can prosper unless the country as a whole enjoys steady prosperity. End quote. Rajaji also addressed questions of agriculture, urging policymakers to prioritize long-term productivity over partisan electoral interests. He said, the vital thing for the country is the steady production of agricultural wealth. He is a traitor to the country who does his parliamentary work from the point of view of votes, forgetting the true interests of agriculture. End quote. He concluded by reminding those in public life of the responsibility they held towards the people and the importance of moral clarity in governance. He said, we have made ourselves trustees of the affairs of the people and should remember God, forget selfishness, and do our duties wisely, with patience, imagination, and understanding. End quote. Thank you for joining us on Great Speeches. For more from The Print, become a subscriber at theprint.in/subscribe. I am Aamaan in Delhi.